Good morning, everybody. My name is Carlos Arbuthnott, and I'm a Human Rights Officer and Project Coordinator at the Sikh Human Rights Group, a non-governmental organisation, or NGO, with special consultative status at the United Nations. And I'm here today to give you an insight into our Sikh Neurodiversity Network project. So let's begin by first looking at the connection between neurodiversity and autism. Neurodiversity is a broad term used to describe the variety of mental abilities, capacities and approaches that can be found within human beings. One form of neurodiversity is called autism. It is estimated that 1 in 100 people have autism. Therefore, there are approximately 700,000 children and adults currently living in the United Kingdom with autism. But what is autism? Autism is a lifelong neurodiverse characteristic that affects how a person communicates and how a person perceives or understands the world around them. However, no two people with autism are the same. Whilst they may share similarities, their autism will inevitably affect them in different ways. Autism ranges from severe, low-functioning autism to high-functioning autism, otherwise known as Asperger's syndrome. So what daily challenges do people with autism face? The first challenge is social communication. In other words, autistic people often find it difficult to interpret both verbal and non-verbal communications like hand gestures or someone's tone of voice. Furthermore, some autistic people are unable to speak or have limited speech, whilst others have very good language skills but struggle to understand things like sarcasm. Other social communicational challenges include taking things literally and not understanding abstract concepts or ideas, needing extra time to process information or to answer questions, or repeating what others say. Autistic people also struggle with social interactions. In other words, they may find it difficult reading other people's facial expressions during a conversation. That means recognizing or understanding other people's feelings and intentions, or they may find it difficult expressing their own emotions, and this can make it extremely hard for them to navigate the world around them. Therefore, autistic people may appear insensitive when they are not, seek out time alone when they are overloaded by people or by situations, they may not attempt to seek comfort in other people, or they may appear to behave strangely, or in a way that is thought to be socially inappropriate or naughty in children, and autistic people can often find it extremely difficult to form friendships. However, it's extremely important to note that autism is not a learning disability or a mental illness. It is not something to be cured, it is not gender-based. Women and girls have autism too, and autism can coexist with other medical conditions. Furthermore, autism is a lifelong neurological characteristic that can only be diagnosed by medical professionals, and while some people may share some of the traits that I have previously discussed, it does not necessarily mean that they have autism. So what do people with autism want? Like all of us, autistic people want acceptance and understanding, the right support at the right time, inclusion in our local communities and friendship groups, choice and control over their daily lives, good health and emotional well-being. However, it is important to remember that autism is a spectrum condition, and therefore it affects people in different ways. Like all people, those with autism have their own strengths and their own weaknesses. Therefore, the Sikh Neurodiversity Network is currently working towards establishing a network of support from Sikh community institutions, particularly Gurdwaras, for children and young adults with lifelong neurological characteristics such as autism. So what do we believe? According to Guru Sikhi, every life is an expression of Waheguru in a diversity of forms, abilities, temperaments and characters. Therefore, in our network's opinion, neurodiversity is just another manifestation of mental pluralism in human life. In other words, not all of us are the same, not all of us behave in the same way, and not all of us have the same mental approach towards life, education, towards learning new skills, and towards social interactions. However, society often seeks uniformity, and in some instances demands conformity. However, with so much neurodiversity within our general society, this inevitably results in misunderstandings, tensions, and sometimes sadness, when those who want conformity seek to change those who may be perceived as different. This in turn further marginalises those who may not be perceived as neurotypical. Nevertheless, with a little bit of understanding, these tensions can easily be overcome, and society, groups and people can function extremely well as supportive and cohesive communities. Therefore, the primary objectives of our Sikh Neurodiversity Network project are firstly, to educate and upskill grantees, Gurdwara committee members and security guards on neurodiversity generally, and how to address any issues that neurodiverse individuals may be experiencing whilst they're in attendance at their local Gurdwaras. Secondly, to upskill and educate the Sangha on neurodiversity generally, and what to do if they see somebody who may have a lifelong neurological characteristic, such as autism, having a difficult time at their local Gurdwara. Thirdly, to establish a London-wide and then later a nationwide network of support for Sikh families with neurodiverse children. And finally, to increase general society understanding, engagement and support. So how will we achieve our objectives? The Sikh Neurodiversity Network is currently working with, amongst various other Gurdwaras across the country, Gurdwara Shri Guru Singh Sabha Southall, in order to make their buildings more welcoming and nurturing environments for neurodiverse children and adults. Over the past 4 months, we have been holding SEN engagement events at the Gurdwara on Park Avenue. These events are an opportunity for those with lifelong neurodiversity characteristics of any age and those who care for them to come together to discuss how the Gurdwara can best support them and their families. At these events we have food and drink, musical instruments, arts and crafts supplies and toys for the children to play with. These events obviously of course also provide our network's volunteers with an opportunity to listen to the experiences of those with lifelong neurological characteristics and those who are close to them, specifically regarding the problems they may have encountered whilst accessing the Gurdwara and how these identified problems can be redressed. After our next SEN engagement event on Sunday the 24th of April 2022, we will be seeking to establish a network of experts of all ages within the Park Avenue Gurdwara, who will be charged with increasing Sangha, understanding, engagement and support for those with lifelong neurological characteristics. In other words, these ambassadors, after their training by a medical professional, will go on to advise the Sangha about the different forms of emotional and related communications that seem to work better with neurodiverse children and adults. We will also bring in an affiliate of the Sikh human rights group, Caldwell Children. Caldwell Children are a world-leading charity with considerable expertise in working with children and adults with autism. And we're also currently working with Gurdwara Shri Guru Singh Sabha Southall's Friday Night Youth Club, which takes place at Norwood Hall, in order to make it a more inclusive environment for neurodiverse children and young adults. Therefore, if you do attend the Park Avenue Gurdwara or the Friday Night Youth Club, then we'd very much like you to become involved in this project, but there'll be more on that later. I also know this is a lot of information for you to take in, but please bear with me as I'd just like to finish by giving you an insight into how our network views Gurdwaras and other Sikh community institutions. As you already know, all Sikhs and many non-Sikhs seek closeness with Waheguru from the teachings and guidance of Sri Guru Granth Sahib and through the Guru Darwara. The open doors that the Sikh Gurus provide to all people of all backgrounds, beliefs and abilities. The greatest sewa of those serving the Guru in the Gurdwaras is to ensure that the doors of the Guru are always open, welcoming and accommodating for all people, irrespective of their abilities and capabilities or capacities, so that they inevitably and faithfully embraced by the Guru. Therefore, it is extremely important that no one feels marginalised or excluded simply because they think differently or behave differently or prefer silence or feel uncomfortable with strangers. However, in our collective experience, Sikh religious and community leaders have consistently demonstrated vast amounts of empathy and sympathy towards those from diverse backgrounds, including neurodiversity. However, Gurdwaras and other Sikh community institutions often lack the formal infrastructure. That means systems and policies necessary to support those with lifelong neurological characteristics such as autism. Our network is aware of this issue, and one of our primary objectives is to change this. However, it's extremely important to note this issue is prevalent across our society and is by no means solely applicable to Gurdwaras and other Sikh community institutions. So in conclusion, if you like the sound of our project and you would like to become involved, or you'd just like to find out a little bit more information about our project, then please speak to your form tutor, who will be able to provide you with our contact information. Or alternatively, please visit our social media accounts at SHRG_NGO. The only final point to mention is that we are extremely flexible when it comes to how much time you dedicate towards our project. You can do as little or as much as you want. But if you do have a genuine desire to help us make this world a more meaningful and pleasant place for neurodiverse children and young adults, then we'd absolutely love to hear from you. I've been Carlos Arbuthnott. Thank you very much for listening.